Interviews and Inner Views with Sathya Sai by Miss Greta Skierman. I grew up in a small farming community in the Midwest, USA. I knew nothing of the concept of avatar. I only knew about Jesus Christ and, at a young age, I had an intense spiritual experience. I don't know how else to explain it. I heard a divine voice that said, "I am a messenger from the Father in heaven. I have come because of your dedication to truth and love. I have come to bring you immortality." It was startling, to say the least. I was sure nobody would believe me if I shared what I had experienced. So, I kept it all to myself. But I was totally convinced that it was time for the second coming of Christ. This would be the Father of Christ, and I felt that I had to find my Lord. I started my search by reading whatever spiritual books I could find. There were very few books back in those days. And then, it happened. Somebody knew someone in California who sent a book to a friend in St. Louis, Missouri, where I lived, who gave it to me. It was Dhyana Vahini, a book on meditation, by Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. I opened it, read a couple of paragraphs, and then closed the book. This is exactly who I've been looking for, I said to myself, partly in excitement and partly in relief. I was so convinced that even before I physically saw him, I became one of the founding members of the Sai Baba Center in St. Louis, Missouri in 1973. Responding to his call, I traveled to India all by myself in my 20s in 1976, knowing only 3 names, a hotel, an ashram, and a driver. Even as I landed in India, Swami came in my dream exclaiming, "Oh, you have come." I had my first darshan in Brindavan, ashram near Bangalore. Swami went back to Prashanti Nilayam the very next day. While I was totally in love with Baba, I still wondered whether God would accept me and love me. Nothing happened for the first 3 days at Puttaparthi other than I got an upset stomach from the food. Swami didn't even come toward where the ladies were seated. He said later, "The ladies are running, indiscipline." The first lesson I learned was that discipline is essential to get closer to God. The next darshan, he came near me and called me in for an interview, saying, "You go in." I got up unsteadily and nervously, unsure whether the sari I had just learned to wrap around myself would stay in place. The first thing Swami did in the interview room was to switch on the fan. I felt that was how he switched on my spiritual journey, too. In the private inner interview room, he asked, "What do you want?" I just put my hands together in prayer. He said, "Don't worry. I will help you." He put his hand on my head, blessing me. Then, he revealed, "Your stomach is not good." He knew my condition. But at a deeper level, I felt he indicated the region of my solar plexus, the seat of all emotions, as not being good. That also, he knew. Finally, he said, "You stay for more days." Obeying his loving command, I stayed on. When he traveled to Brindavan, I followed him and shifted base. During darshan, he came up to me and asked, "How are you?" Before I could reply, he continued, "Happy, happy, happy." This was the message I received from Swami near the conclusion of my first trip. His vision for my life mission. It was after a period of intense sadhana, spiritual practice, that I took a second trip to see Swami. Once, When I was out of the ashram to make some sundry purchases, a man walked up to me and said, "Tomorrow, Swami is going to call you and tell you about your life's work." I was taken aback. When I returned to my room, my roommate, who was a fellow teacher in the school where I taught, told me, "A man came here with a message that Swami wants to see you tomorrow morning at 8. Wow! That was no coincidence. Swami called us in for an interview the next day, and he asked me, "Oh, you are a teacher? Where do you teach?" "Swami, East St. Louis, East St. Louis. Teach about Jesus and spirituality." Bal Vikas, Swami? Swami did not respond to that but said that he would call us for an interview again. I wondered how on earth I was going to incorporate Jesus and spirituality in my lesson plans. But when Swami gives a task, he gives the strength and resources needed to accomplish it as well. With his grace, I became instrumental in introducing EHV, Education in Human Values, and 3HV, Unity of Head, Heart, and Hand, in my school. Achieve peace of mind before seeking liberation. We were blessed with a second interview in the afternoon of the same day. During that session, with a wave of his hand, Swami materialized a medallion and put it around my neck. He also materialized a small calling card, complete with his name and address. He said, "Keep this in your purse." Then, we were taken into the private interview room. Once inside, Swami lovingly held my folded palms and gently rocked them. He then asked me what I wanted. I replied that I wanted liberation. He seemed to brush aside my words with his hand and said, "First, find peace of mind. Liberation comes later." I was thinking how to get peace of mind. Then I remembered what he told me in my first interview: stay away from anger. Stay away from desires. Stay away from doubt. Continuing to hold my hand, he said, "I am going to come and give you darshan every Thursday." I sat dumbstruck, wondering how he would do that. Would he manifest himself in the United States? Today, I know clearly in my heart that he is perfectly capable of doing that. But Swami's statement was also a reference to attending the Sai Center. It was a reminder to reconnect with him every Thursday at the center. That is what he used to say back in those days: "Worship me every Thursday." We have to do this till our devotion grows and we begin to connect with him every day, till it happens every moment. So, liberation, my ultimate goal, was conditional on achieving the goal of peace of mind. It was a task he gave me, advised me on how to do it, and gifted me the means to achieve it. During another interview, Swami materialized a gold ring for me with 3 white diamonds. Later on, I noticed that it had a slight bend. But it was beautiful, and I was in love with it. I somehow felt that Swami would change it the next time I was in India. And amazingly, that is precisely what happened. In a couple of months, we were in Puttaparthi for Swami's birthday when he called us in for an interview. He asked me for my ring, and when I gave it to him, he said, "It is bent." "Swami, it came out like that only when you materialized it for me." "Oh, do you like this ring?" he asked. "I like whatever you give me, Swami." "Do you want green or white?" "Swami, I want whatever you give me." He passed the ring around the interview room. All those assembled there held the ring in their hands before passing it on. Finally, the ring went back to Swami. Now, he held it up and slowly brought it close toward his mouth. He blew on it thrice. And with the third breath, in everyone's plain sight, the ring changed, the setting changed, and the stone changed. It was now a green emerald ring, and it fit my finger perfectly. See, size perfect, Swami said. Yes. Size perfect, I played on his words. He beamed a broad smile at me and said that the ring was for my peace of mind. Wedding and divine experiences in the interview room. It was Swami who arranged my marriage in December 1983. I traveled to India for a Balvikas, Sathya Sai Education conference in Puttaparthi. I was part of the group that came for teacher training. There was also a man in the group whom I knew from my Sai center back in the USA, John Skierman. We had not spoken much more than greeting each other with Sai Ram or how are you and goodbye. When Swami called the group in for an interview, he started talking to me about marriage. I knew he was serious about it when the same conversation continued in the private interview room, too. Even as I was coming to terms with what was happening, Swami shared some of his powerful energy to make sure that I understood that he was arranging this marriage. Today, I know that my husband, too, experienced that same energy back then. This most incredible divine energy became stronger and stronger till neither of us could look at Swami anymore. He was the source of such incredible power that I could feel he was writing my life for me, and I was glad for that. I found myself absolutely calm and was in total acceptance of my marriage to this man about whom I knew almost nothing. Years later, Swami called my husband and me for an interview in Vrindavan. As we sat in the private interview room, Swami looked at me and then my husband and said, "See." Not mistake, he was a proud father, happy that he had brought the two of us together. Sitting at his feet, we looked at his feet. His robe and dhoti had been specially arranged in what we felt was a divine formation. And then, it happened. We could both see divine light emerging from that arrangement of his robe and his feet. Having enjoyed this special darshan, we walked out of the interview, exclaiming together, "Oh my goodness! Did you see that miracle?" Since that day, I have had a partner to walk along with me in my journey to liberation. The journey to liberation. There have been many more interviews after that, with Swami being the constant and loving guide. He also took my son under his divine umbrella as a student in his educational institutions. He has further ensured that at all times, everywhere, we have been constantly evolving spiritually. Everything that has happened in my life, starting from the voice I heard as a youth till experiencing Swami's presence now in every moment of my life, has convinced me of the journey to liberation or God. It has been beautifully summarized by Swami in his words mentioned below. The first stage is to be a messenger of God like Jesus was. This is the stage of, I am in the light. The second stage is to be the child of God, as Jesus said, I am the Son of God. This is the stage of, the light is in me. Then, we move to the final stage to become one with God or liberated. Jesus stated this as, I and my Father are one. This is the stage of, I am the light. With Swami's grace and blessings, may we always be in the light and achieve our ultimate goal of being the light. Miss Greta Skierman.